Welcome to a new video of Pendulo Force. In a previous video, I explained how the financial structure of a food business or restaurant should be. We talked about how of your sales, 100% of your sales, usually your cost of sales should be 30%, then your staff cost should be 30% as well, and that would be your prime cost. And the rest, your rent, marketing, consumables, repairs and maintenance, all other costs should be around another 30%, and luckily you will get 10% profit. This is just an idea of your percentages, and it's very important that we focus on this prime cost because we can actually have an impact on these numbers while the others are a bit more fixed. We have already in another video seen how can we control this cost of sales. Now in this video we're going to focus on staff costs. So as we said, we're going to focus today on staff cost and how to calculate them and what they should be. Just to give you an idea, for example, we would say that the range of the staff costs in your business model should be from 20 to 40%, in general around 30. Pubs and bars usually have 20% staff cost because they only have drinks, so the labor needed to produce those drinks is usually less unless you have a very specialized cocktail bar. Then in fast food, because a lot of the processes are standardized, their staff cost is also a bit reduced to 25%. Normal casual dining will be around 30%, and fine dining, because you want that extra level of service and that amazing experience, you really need staff to make it happen. So usually your staff costs are a bit higher and around 40%. So what are the staff costs and what is included here? To start with, the gross salaries, that includes the hourly wages, the salaries, if you do overtime, bonuses, commissions. Then we need to add payroll taxes and benefits, include employer contributions such as national insurance, pension, any other benefits like health insurance. We will also include incentives and bonuses, and any other additional cost like training or uniform meals provided for the staff. This is what we're going to include in staff costs. So another way of looking at it would be in this way: we include the gross salaries and then we add the taxes and benefits, the incentives, the bonuses, and then additional costs. So all of that will be the staff costs. And then just to have an idea of the percentage, we always divide it by the net sales. So it's kind of like of 100% of our sales, how much, what percentage, what part of those sales we are investing in paying for our labor. And now we're going to see with some figures. Right, so let's see it with some numbers. Imagine that the salary of one person is 30,000. And then we're going to add on taxes 2,670, and then of benefits £900, incentives and bonuses 2,000, and some other additional costs like uniform or training or something like that, 1,000. So that will add 36,570. So always when you negotiate a salary, you need to consider all these additional costs and you need to count them. Even if you are a business owner, you also need to count with your salary when you are checking if your business is profitable. Some people make all their numbers and they're not adding their own time and they're not giving themselves a salary, and that is a huge mistake because that could be that your business model doesn't really work unless you're unpaid, which is not the right business model to have. So anyway, once we have calculated all these staff costs, we just divide it by the sales. So imagine that this is the salary of a person in a year, and these are the sales we make, 120,000. This should be net sales with no VAT or anything on top or taxes. So our percentage will be 30.47. And if we check our business model, we see that our cost of sales is 30% and the rest is around 25. And yep, we're making profit. Fantastic. But this is how we calculate the staff costs for one person for 1 year. Right, so we have seen how to calculate the cost in a very basic example of one person for the whole year. But really in a restaurant it's very important to control your staff costs on a weekly basis because we could be losing a lot of money from week to week, and it's very important to adjust our labor as much as we can to our sales, in the way that if our sales go down, we try to reduce our labor for that week, our staff costs. And if our sales, we can predict that they're going to increase, we also increase our staff to provide a good experience for our guests. So how can we control these staff costs on a weekly basis? We're going to see a Rota and how to monetize all the shifts of all the employees. And this is a tool to know where you are for forecasting and then to actually know your cost on a weekly basis. So this is a spreadsheet I used with my customers. It's a template that we use to check the hours that our staff are working and also monetize them. To monetize a Rota means that we will calculate how much the hours of our employees are costing us, and we will be able to see if we are achieving our targets, usually, as we discussed, around 30%. There are softwares that do what this spreadsheet does. You can use whatever tool you want, but the principles behind all the systems is what we're going to talk about now. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to be able to see the total hours, how much those hours are costing us, and you see the total per day. And then once we add the sales, we will have a salary percentage for that day. And if we do it for every day of the week, we will end up having the average. If we can see here, 31,487, and for $33,000 of sales. So this is a good way of calculating. It could be a bit intimidating, but once we add all the hours that people are going to do and we do it once, then it's very easy to repeat this process another week and the next and the next, because it's basically to copy and paste and reforecast your sales. So we've been able to see how much we make in a week, and now we're going to see all the steps that we need to follow to get here. So what we're going to do is first we're going to create a copy of the original template. So we right click on the mouse on the right side, and then we copy the template and we rename it. Let's say that it's the 15th of July of 24. What we need to do is in column A, we need to have the pay per hour of all the employees. Once we do it once, then it will be done. We don't have to do this exercise all the time. So for example, imagine that we're going to calculate the salary of John. Here we have hourly and salary. Imagine that you have agreed $18 per hour, and what you're going to pay for taxes or national insurance or whatever you need to pay is 15%, and the pension is 3%. So this has been changing the number in L1 in that cell. So this is the figure that is including all the costs. So remember that is not the same what we pay than the costs that are for us. To see how this impacts our Rota, imagine we're going to create 10 to 11 just to see 1 hour of work. You see total hours 1, and it's paid 21.24. Let's just leave it as it was with $20 because it's easier to see later. Now let's look at a salaried person. This is just a tool to calculate all these figures that we're going to put in column A. So 40,000 a year. Now imagine that we want to change the national insurance or whatever taxes we pay to 15 and the pension to 5. So then it got to 23.08 an hour. It's adding the taxes. Then it's divided by 52, and that's the number of weeks we have in a year. And in 1 week you work 40 hours. That's what we have agreed. So we divide by 40 and then we get 23.08 per hour. And you can see once you change it in that column A, it will change the total in the rotas. We go back to put 20 and then we can hide it, and we're just going to use those rates for now to continue this example. We're going to see how to fill this up to be able to get total figures. The step 2 is to enter sales. What we're going to do is for every day of the week, for Monday, for example, we're going to add 1,500, 2,100 for Tuesday, and so on for every day of the week. And then we should amend it at the end of every day and write the real amount of sales. In the beginning of the week, this will only be a forecast. So we finish adding our forecast with 4,000 for Sunday, and that will give us the total for Monday, for Tuesday, Wednesday, every day of the week. And then we will have the total of 33,000 at the end of the week, which we think is what we're going to make on sales. Step 3, now we're going to see how we can input hours, and we can do it manually, or we can copy and paste. We're going to see how. So the first thing we're going to do is in agreed hours with this employee, we write how many hours we have agreed for that week, which is 40. And then we start just adding hours from 10 in the morning to 5. We need to write it in this format. And now we can copy and paste, which is right click on the mouse, and we will be able to copy and then right click and paste. Then for Wednesday, we're going to add a double shift. So from 10 to 5. We need to write it in this format so the Rota actually works. And as you can see, it's telling us the hours and the amounts. And for 12 o'clock at night, that's how we will write it. So it takes the hours correctly. So on Thursday, we're going to do an evening shift. So we're going to copy and then paste. And let's say from 5 to 11. Check out how it's telling us that 6 hours and it's costing us 120. And then we're going to give Friday and Saturday off, and on Sunday we're just copying an evening shift. When that happens and we cannot see, we just click between the lines and we will be able to see the numbers properly. And now we have here that it's 1 hour that we should assign him that he doesn't have. So we just give him another hour, and now we don't have any difference. What we have agreed is what we've given him for that week. And that is what is costing us 2.42%, which is $800. So now we have to continue to fill up all of them, and we're going to see how is the most efficient way. So we have already added the Rota for John, and now what we're going to see is we're going to continue with our assistant managers, Olivia and Peter. And we have 2 ways of doing this. Manually again, from 10 to 4, I got it wrong, to 4, and do it manually. Or we can use copy and paste, which is much easier. and we can use it, copying other figures in the Rota. Like here, we can use this double shift to use it for another manager. When this happens, we just click between the lines so we're able to see it properly. And or what we could do is once we have the shifts for the managers, we can just like copy the whole week, and then Olivia and Peter will be doing different shifts. And if you are able to set the rota, maybe they will know what are their potential rota could be. So maybe some of your staff will want a fixed rota and will prefer that. And nowadays it's very important to keep the staff happy. So you could try to see what rota is good for your team to give them some stability. But once you do this, you can just copy and paste week after week with the managers or even with some of the waiters. So once we are doing this, we can see that it's really adding the total hours of both and how much it's costing us. We can see that dinner and lunch on Thursday, it doesn't have anyone there. So we need to make sure that there is always someone covering the shift. And then we hide those rows of supervisors because we don't need it, because at the moment we don't have that many. And we see that we have that ugly hashtags on the top. We just select all the columns and we double click and we will just adjust so we can see the view of the Rota properly. So now we have 1,192, and that's how much is costing us, 6.03% if we divide that amount by 33,000. So that is how much the managers are costing us. In the case that, for example, we wanted to use this Rota also to publish it and to send it to the staff, obviously we wouldn't want them to see how much they are costing us or how different salaries are working, but we could just copy just the top of the Rota where it says the hours and just copy it in another spreadsheet for them if you want to publish them or to just send it to them. So here we would see the Rota in another place without the salaries. I will leave a link to this spreadsheet just in case you would like to use it at the very affordable so everybody could use it. But really you can do it yourself if you want to save a few dollars. So this is the way we have added the managers, and in the same way we will be adding hosts and servers and also the back of house. So I just wanted to go back here to be able to fill up also the hosts, the servers, everybody. So in our empty template we can fill up everyone, and then it's important to have all the hours. So what we've done is add the cost per hour, then we just have the rotas for everyone. We know how much is everyone is costing us, the total hours that they're working. It is important to have this total number of hours and the total costs. That will be 969 and 10,532. It's important because then we can see what is the area, what is the day of the week that we could reduce the number of hours and therefore the costs. And this is great because once we've done the rotas, we will be able to see this weekly percentage and know if our financial business model makes sense or we are over expending, or actually sometimes you could be under expending on staff costs because then your service is not that good. So this gives you a great tool to forecast and know where you're going to be. And then once you just know the real sales, you can adjust the sales so you have actually what is the real cost going to be. And even if you pay your staff monthly, you will be able to have a very close idea of what they're going to cost you and if you are on track or not. So I hope this is helpful to you. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, please click on like and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions, please leave us a comment here on YouTube or send us an email to info@penduloforce.com.